Good evening, race fans. My name's Austin Atkinson. Alongside me here tonight, Rachel Whiteford and Jared Haggerty. Also down in the booth, Laura Lawson, being producer, pushing the buttons for us, making this thing happen the way it does. We're getting ready to go set for our B main here. 25 laps at Daytona here in the Cup car, and it's going to be a wild one. A short race before we go to our A main. This field's going to finish up setting the grid for the A main there. These drivers are currently finishing up qualifying, and it looks like Dana Osborne currently sitting at the top of the field, Rachel.
Yeah, they are, and we've got some good times in here today, of course. We nearly had Kyle Gary on the pole, but, well, Osborne does it again with a great time.
So a good time to Osborne thus far, as we've got about 2 minutes left in official qualifying. Going to look to give you the grid here in a couple minutes, but let's go ahead and talk about the series here. Jared, this is a very interesting series for the most part, especially for our viewers, something different to look at. They use a little bit of a different standard, I guess would be the right word to use, is they do smaller, more, I guess, interesting races, shorter races, and essentially that is how we decide the championship here. Give us a little bit of background to the iSuperSpeedway series here.
Well, the iSuperSpeedway series, I mean, we've been running here for about 3 years, and it's been getting more and more competitive as the years have gone on. Well, the way it works is you have 2 heat races before each of these main races. The heat races, the top 6 drivers from each race transfer automatically into the A main, and the B main is basically leftover of the people who did not transfer into the A main directly. So you have all these guys are going to be looking to make it into the main race, and some of these drivers, one in particular, Frank Brusilia, is going to definitely be trying to make it in because he is the only chase driver that did not make it directly into the A main. So Austin, I mean, this is going to be a very hard test for him. What do you think he's going to be able to?
Yeah, it's definitely going to make for something interesting, and definitely going to be looking for him to stay inside the top 14. They are going to take the top 14 plus professional driver in this race to move on to the A main. There are currently 18 drivers registered that I show on the qualifying grid. So that's going to leave a few guys out here, and it's going to make for quite the dicey finishes. Of course, you know, you want to finish inside the top 14, but you know, everybody here wants to take a win, Rachel. So definitely still going to be interesting to see how these guys decide the race at the end of this one. Also keeping in mind, though, they do still have to race in the A main.
Yeah, they do indeed, of course. Well, chase implications we know for Frank Basilia. He's the only driver in the chase that will be in this B main, and, well, a good finishing position will be critical for him.
Well, we're going to go ahead and take you down for the Wrangler starting grid, brought to you by Wrangler, real comfortable jeans. Starting on the pole is going to be Dana Osborne with the fast time here, 47.842. Starting to his outside, going to be Kyle Gary in the number 45 machine.
Behind them, it'll be Frank Basilia in P3 and Ray Retnar in P4.
Starting 5th is going to be the number 31 of Chris Pacini, and starting 6th is going to be the number 26 of Rod Flagg.
Starting on the inside of row number 4 is going to be Donnie Giratano. To his outside, Jose Ramirez.
Row number 6 will be Tanner Mann on the inside and Sean Turner on the outside.
Number 83 of Ramon Evans is going to start 11th, and number 82 of Dan Harrington will be 12th.
Round out your field, 13 is going to be Shane McGeach, and to his outside is going to be Tommy Hall, Kent Conley, Daniel Ferguson, Jimmy Todd, and Corey Henry, who did not choose to take time here at Daytona. These guys getting ready to go set 25 laps. Quick little B main before we move on to our A main, which we will also bring you coverage of. Pace car getting ready to duck down into pit road. Dana Osborne going to lead them down to the green flag. Flagman checks it over. Green flag is out. Here we go, down to the green, side by side. Dana Osborne just nosing it out as we go down to turn number 1.
Yeah, good start by Dana Osborne, but helped up there by the 94, giving him a shove, which will get him now out front as we head towards the exit of turn 2. Osborne by a car.
Outside line fading off just a little bit. Well, I'm sure we'll see them work back to the outside. Interesting race here with the draft model. The iRacing service came out with a newer draft package weeks ago that some guys like, some guys don't. I've heard both. I know one driver that we'll see in the A main, Seth the Merchant, somebody that I've spoken with numerous times regarding this draft model. And basically the way it was explained to me was it just makes things a little more complicated when you want to push. These drivers you'll see is they'll kind of offset the nose just a little bit. That's what these guys have to do to essentially suck up to the back of the car in front of them. So that makes life a little more challenging, as in the past, you could really suck up on the car in front of you and essentially just push until you got too hot. As Dana Osborne now off to a couple car length lead over the outside as the 94 of Brasilia now clears the 45, but the 45 working back to the outside now.
Yeah, the real critical thing, Austin, of course, is they modeled that realistic air bubble behind the car. So, well, you've either got to have cooperation from that car in front, they've got to ease off a little bit just to back their bumper onto yours and break through that bubble, or you've got to offset just to pull them back. So, either way, the car in front needs to come backwards to you, but it's how you do it that makes the big difference. If the car in front works with you, just ease off out the corners, gets you to their bumper, you can go a lot faster, and it's a very, very good model with this.
Speaking of needing work or needing help on the outside line, Rod Flagg has dropped several car lengths off the back of the 21 of Ray Rittenauer. And it looks like Rittenauer now having issues of his own, not able to suck up to the back of the 45 of Gary. Gary now losing several positions on the outside, as it looks like the inside line currently has the advantage as we work lap 3.
Yeah, that outside line really falling away now. They've just not got the consistency up there. Of course, in the past, we've seen lots of drivers, it's always go to the bottom line, but with the changes we've had, you really can hold it down the outside. And, wow, these guys are taking a little long to really get formed up. I think we'll see them moving back towards the front fairly soon.
Speaking moving towards the front, Jared, exactly what should we expect in a short race like this? Do you try to sit in the back and wait until the last 5, 6, 7 laps to make your move to the front, or should you be up front right now already battling on lap 4?
Well, you definitely need to be at the front. Being at the front is going to ensure your position in the A main. I mean, right now you can see Kyle Gary. They were all broken up. This is about half a lap ago. Top line is now starting to form there. Now, what they're going to have to do, they're going to have to get at least 4 to 5 cars up there, which they have right now. But once they do that, they're going to have to get really close together so they can get a good run coming out of either 2 or 4 to even make a charge. And that's what's happening right now. Is Kyle Gary is going to go right to the door of Frank Brasilia. Brasilia is going to have to check up a little bit for Osborne, who's not going to be able to do anything, and Gary is going to be to the outside here. And if 21 can get to the back of Gary here, he's going to be able to make a run to the front.
Gary trying to utilize the side draft to try to make his way back up to Dana Osborne, is unable to do so thus far. The 31 of Piscini gives a little bump to Brasilia now. Brasilia just kind of laying off the back bumper of Dana Osborne, now starts to suck up a little bit, and you'll see off the corner just how much momentum that little bit of an air bubble behind these cars gives these guys off the exits of the corner. You don't have to be on somebody's bumper anymore to give a good shove, as it now is showing exactly that. The 45 of Kyle Gary dropping several positions on the outside, as the 21 just can't seem to try to get to the back bumper of that 45 machine. As we now go on board with the 21 machine of Rittenauer, looking up at the back of the 45 of Gary, and you'll see just how close these guys get to try to utilize that side draft. And it can be a very dangerous thing here in the iRacing simulation, as of course these guys are racing from the comfort of their homes. Connection issues can cause devastation, especially at a place here like Daytona.
That's exactly true, Austin. And wow, one of the things you've got to do now with the way the draft model is you've got to use that side draft along with the hook. So to really get past the leaders, you've got to be down on the side of them, maybe a foot or two off the side panels. And yeah, you're right. Cars move around, and well, it can, like you say, end in devastation. They're making a run back now as the inside line gets really checked up. This could be the opportunity for the 21 and 28 to get that 45 and head towards the front.
Speaking of other drivers trying to head towards the front, look at that 28 machine, the Havoline Ford of Shane McEachin has jumped to the outside line. Now he's trying to get up there to the back bumper of the 21 to try to give that outside line a little bit of a push. It's not happened thus far, and you got to wonder at what point does a driver like the 94, as it looks like he's going to make his move now to the outside. I was just getting ready to say, when do you make your move if you're somebody like Frank Brasilia? He's going to lead that last lap, mark that lap number 7, in the books. Now working lap number 8, and here comes the help to the outside line.
Kyle Gary getting hung out there on the outside. 3 wide here coming off turn 2. Gary went for the move. Basilia, I think, just confused him a little, and well, he's hung out on the outside, nowhere to go. He'll be going backwards fast.
I talk about somewhere you don't want to be stuck at Daytona. That's about the worst place to get stuck, is on the outside line at 100 and 200 miles an hour. That's definitely not the place you want to be, because it's going to be really hard, especially in this draft model, to grab onto the back of somebody's bumper. It's going to take somebody behind you giving you a little bit of help. Otherwise, you're going to lose more than just a few positions here.
Absolutely. Gary's gone all the way back now. He's been scored at this time down in the 12th position. He went from being in the top 5 now to falling back out of the lead pack. He's actually gone down towards the rear of the second pack. If he can't hang on to these guys, he could be out of this race completely.
Yeah, absolutely could. And it looks like the outside line started to fall off again. It looks like Frank Basilia up there by himself at this point has a little bit of draft help from the 31 of Chris Passini, but not enough to really give too much of an effect here, as now Donnie Giratano has worked his way up to the second position in the Rainbow Chevrolet. He's going to try to see what he can do with Dana Osborne, or maybe he just decides to sit where he's at. Keep in mind, the top 14 drivers plus provisional spot will all advance to the A main. So all these guys probably just trying to play it safe as much as they would like to take a win here.
You got to take it safe to an extent. You don't want to be involved in a wreck that could end your race and put you out of position even. So you've got to be really careful. These guys definitely playing conservative, but we know that 94 machine, he wants to get back to the front. And, well, Frank Basilia, he is one of the chase contenders. He needs a good start. This could get it for him. But they need to form up, and the outside line's only 2 cars right now, so that's really hurting those guys.
One of the drivers I'm keeping eyes on is that 088 machine of Kent Conley. Kent Conley, believe it or not, he is a long-time sim racer. I actually remember that name from the Open Speedway days over on NASCAR 2003. So I want to talk about a guy who has been around this well over many years. That's one guy you want to watch out for. He's a long-time name in the business, 12 years estimated time in sim racing, so he knows how to get it done.
Jumping
That's
up to
Ken
help on the
Conley into
outside.
088.
Yeah, the 21 is going to help the outside line here, and right now it looks like Frank Basilia is going to have the help that he needs to get up there to the front. The 21 is Ray Rittenauer. Right behind him, he's going to have Chris Passini trying to give him. Now they're going to need at least one more person to have a chance to even get up to the front. But right now, the bottom line there is getting a little separated, and 21 is going to actually have a big push here over the 94 as they come out of 2 here, and they're going to have a big run. As you see Frank Basilia get right to the door there of Donnie Giratano. He's going to make a run to the lead here.
He is, and the 83 really helped out. On the inside line there, he got onto that double yellow line on the tri-oval last time around. That really checked that inside line up from the 3rd place backwards, so that gave him a boost, but they've just not been able to do anything about it. It's that line's got him back together.
Yeah, absolutely has back together. The 83 dipping below the up line. Ken Conley has to check up. Whole bottom line has to check up with that one. The 33, don't know if he went down there on purpose. That was Raymond Evans. And the number 83 machine dropped down underneath the apron, got a little bit loose. Kent had to check up, as did the rest of the bottom line. Now the outside line started to get a little bit of a run as the 5 makes contact, door-to-door contact with the 94 of Basilia. Basilia utilizing that side draft very well thus far. He's still got help from the 21. I don't know if these guys are going to be able to do it by themselves, though. They're going to need a little more help than they're getting.
Yeah, absolutely. 3 cars is not going to cut it, but well, if more of these guys came up to the outside, they could dump the top 5 quite easily. The lane with the most cars in will be the strongest here, and with the draft model as it is now, you can pass cars around the outside, and if you end up leaving a few on the bottom with the majority on the top, that can work. So we could shuffle this order completely, but people are not really willing to leave that comfort zone of the big line.
No, absolutely not. These guys are pretty well set in the line that they want to run, it seems. So we'll see at the end of this one if Donnie Giratano wants to make a move to the outside or if he's comfortable sitting where he is. I know myself, when it comes to super speedways, I would call myself an aggressive driver, and I think Jared would probably do the same. I would be more tempted to try to jump out to the outside and see if we can work that outside line. You really don't have too much to lose right now. You're up in the front of the field. if a wreck's going to happen, it's probably going to happen behind you, but don't quote me on that. I've seen crazier things happen in the front of a pack.
Oh, right there is the 088 of Kent Conley gets a little loose there on the triangle. I think a car came down on him right there, but he's going to lose a bunch of time here as they go with 10 more laps to go. That's not going to be good for him going into the A-main as he falls directly to the end of the pack. He's going to drop back to about 14th, and all that's staying between him and making the A-main is Jimmy Todd, and I don't think Todd's going to have any part of trying to be not in the A-main. But that was a scary moment there as he went down. Everybody went crazy, went to the outside trying to avoid him, and everything stays nice and straight for now as the number 8 of Daytona Osborne continues to lead. Frank Basilia is still on the outside here trying to get cars to come with him. The 21 is not close enough here, and he's got the 31. The Game of Thrones car, winter is coming for the Stark mobile. And I tell you what, they're going to try to make a run here on the outside.
You saw the replay here on LSR of exactly what happened there. Kent Conley just catching a little bit of the apron, got a little squirrely, and had ducked down to keep from turning back up into the field. He's got a little bit of help from the 18 of Jimmy Todd. Jimmy also needing to get up there back to the pack. Hopefully these guys should be able to do so. I imagine with 2-car draft, with as close as these guys are running in the pack, they may be able to do so. So we'll check back in with that as we complete lap 16 now. Basilia's starting to get another run on the outside. He's now right on the door of that Pepsi Max machine of Tanner Mann. And we'll see just how close he can get to the front. Thus far, though, Daytona Osborne absolutely dominating this race, has pretty much led every lap.
Yeah, he has indeed. And while the outside line is forming now, we have the 94, the 21, the 31 and 26, the 75 car flirting with the outside line, not sure he wants to commit yet. The 75 machine there, of course, of Jose Ramirez. He's been looking at it, not sure whether it will work or not, but if he gets out there, they could have an equal number of cars on the outside. They could really make something happen here, but they've got to have cars go to that outside.
83 made a little bit of contact there with the 21. That was Raymond Evans making door-to-door contact with Ray Rittenauer in the outside line. Ray kind of turned back to let him know he didn't appreciate it. Both those drivers have since separated. Now the 83 underneath Basilia. Basilia started to drop back. What you'll notice here is a little bit of a pattern. The outside line gets a run. They get up to about second position, but they can't go any further. They stall out. They drop back to fourth, fifth, and then they get another run. As you'll see right now, here comes Basilia once again to the outside of that number 5 machine. He'll get up to the back bump of the Wrangler machine and probably drop off once more.
Yeah, they really got to have that run maintained through the corners here to get any sort of position, because you tend to lose what you gain on the straights in the corners on the high side. But this series does have a no bumping in the corners rule in place, so that outside line is kind of hampered by that. You can really push here in the corners on the top, and you need to use that to get up there, and you need to keep that momentum going in the corner. So it's making life difficult for those guys on the outside as we have lap traffic about to come into play. That will be the 25 car of Corey Henry, who's going to make things interesting here.
Corey Henry on the outside line. Basilia jumping up there to try to utilize as much of that draft as he can. Doesn't look like it did much for him. Probably hurt him more than it helped him, as him and the 83 machine of Evans running door-to-door really close. The 21 now makes a little bit of weird, awkward contact with the 31. Outside line has to drop off a little more than they wanted to there. That's not going to help their run on the outside, though. They are getting more help now on the outside. They've got Rod Flagg out there. They've also got the 28 of Shane McEachin in that Aveline Ford machine. So we'll see exactly what these guys can do. Now another run coming. Here they come to the outside, Rachel.
This could be the one. They've got a great number of cars out here, 5 cars up there, and if they get past this one, they could probably get the 75 from Ramirez coming with them as they get, for the first time, level with Daytona Osborne there at the front. Could this be Basilia's chance? He needs those guys behind him to keep hooked up. They're dropping away a little bit, 26 falling back. 3 cars strung together on the top side. This could be something for them, but cars moved around too much in the bottom lane. Makes it difficult for all these guys to get that side draft and make the big run towards the front.
Well, I say it's safe to say, Jared, something to look for in the A main is for these guys to try to get up front, get to the bottom line, and just kind of hang out there for most of the race and wait till later in the race to make your move, as it seems utilizing the outside line to make a pass is just all too difficult, especially if you get stuck out there for any extended number of laps.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit difficult with all these guys here. I mean, one of the big things that plays a really big part in most of these races that we go to is the team factor. Now, in most series on the regular ovals like Charlotte, Atlanta, you really won't see the team aspect come into play, but on this series especially, it comes into a big part. You got the number 2 there of the Wicked Autosports of Donnie Garetano. You have the Rod Flagberry racing car of the 94. You got the Hannerick guys, the BBM guys. All these teams play a big part. So when they get to work together, it's going to make it a lot easier to go up to the front, as you can't see too many teams here. I don't see any teammates directly involved with each other, but right now they're all going to be trying to make it work with who they got now, because we are coming up with 3 laps to go this time by, Austin.
3 laps to go this time by. Work lap 22. Once we hit the start finish line, that'll put 22 in the books, as it looks like Osborne probably going to lead another one here, but here comes Buscaglia to the outside, now giving a little bit of a battle, makes a little bit of contact with the 2. They may have just scraped a little bit, and now here he comes to the outside line, so maybe Buscaglia was sandbagging a little bit and has a little more for Osborne than we think he did.
Yeah, he could have been just riding out there, but I find it kind of difficult to believe that. You want to get out here, you want to sit in that low line, ride out in the lead, but I have to reiterate just how hard it is to work the outside line at this track, whether it be the Cup cars, Xfinity cars. It is so hard to get that run up to the front, and I don't think he is sandbagging. I think it genuinely is that hard. These guys have a real tough time, and that 2 comes up and smacks the 94 in the side panels. Side drafter, not quite that's how it's done, but there you go. The run is working now. They're level with Osborne for the first time.
Side by side they go, a little bit of contact. You can see just how comfortable these guys have gotten running side by side with each other. These guys get closer in these races than you will see in just about any other league or any other series. These guys extremely comfortable running next to each other, and I'd say that absolutely shows here. Buscaglia was right there, door to door with Donnie Garetano, and I'm sure he'll do the same thing if he can get up there next to Dana Osborne once more. As now, once we hit the start finish line, we will take the white flag. 1 lap to go. Going to try to back it up a little bit here. Buscaglia going to try to get another run to see what he can do with that 8 machine of Dana Osborne, but don't expect too much, as it's been quite difficult to even get side by side with Dana Osborne.
It has indeed. Well, we have Ramirez committed. He's fallen back again. He just doesn't want to play. He wants a nice safe spot there, and well, this outside line, I don't think it's going to go anywhere. This will be Osborne's race, I believe, unless something drastic happens. There's major side drafting there with the 2. This 94 could have something if they can hold it on the outside. The 21 has to get to his bumper, and he just cannot get up there. That car cannot catch. 208 miles an hour in the speed trap for Dana Osborne. Commanding speed, took the pole, and, well, Austin, coming to the line to win the race.
Dana Osborne going to cross the start finish line, almost 3 wide, as the 21 thought about shoving it in there. 3 wide between the 5 of Tanner Mann and the 94 of Buscaglia. And it looks like he thought better of it. So good win to Dana Osborne here in the B main. We're going to try to get things reset, and we'll come back and try to give you the full race rundown and who made it through this one and into the next race. So stay with us here. We're going to handle a little bit of business, and we'll come back here on the Voice of Sim Racing. You're watching live on LSRTV.
Monza is a very historic track. It's been around since the 20s, and it's gone through several permutations since then. We're also bringing forward a number of configurations. So there's chicanes that they've installed since the track's early days. So they can use original, very high-speed configurations of the track where the cars would just blow through where the chicanes are today, or they could use a more modern version. So it's a pretty cool, compelling track. The unique thing about Monza is it has a road course, but it also has a high-speed oval. And that high-speed oval can be run by itself. The Grand Prix course can be run by itself. And they also can be run together in a combined circuit, which is very unique and special in motorsports. This was one of the more challenging projects that we've undertaken. It was essentially building 2 tracks in one. It took a lot of time and a lot of care was put into it, but we're really happy about the end result and we think that people have a lot of fun driving it.
Yeah.
Monza is a very historic track. It's been around since the 20s, and it's gone through several permutations since then. We're also bringing forward a number of configurations. So there's chicanes that they've installed since the track's early days. So they can use original, very high-speed configurations of the track where the cars would just blow through where the chicanes are today, or they could use a more modern version. So it's a pretty cool, compelling track. The unique thing about Monza is it has a road course, but it also has a high-speed oval. And that high-speed oval can be run by itself. The Grand Prix course can be run by itself. And they also can be run together in a combined circuit, which is very unique and special in motorsports. This was one of the more challenging projects that we've undertaken. It was essentially building two tracks in one. It took a lot of time and a lot of care was put into it, but we're really happy about the end result and we think that people have a lot of fun driving it.
Truex in the outside, contact made. 56 slides it into 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
Welcome back to LSRTV, the voice of sim racing. We're back live. Here's myself and Laura Lawson down in the booth. Got some help also tonight from one of our, I don't want to say new faces to the booth, a new face to me. I haven't worked with him before, but Jared Haggerty, glad to have you along here again in this one. 50 laps in our A main. We had 14, actually 15 drivers, 14 plus a provisional, advancing on here into the A main, where these drivers are getting ready to go set for the race here shortly. Give us a little bit of a rundown as to what happened last week and who got eliminated and what exactly we should be looking for here in the A main at Daytona.
Well, last week we had a lot happen. It came down to Rodney Wofford, who was one of the chase people, actually winning the race and securing his spot in the chase, and with his teammate Seth the Merchant, who had won the previous week. But we had to say goodbye to some people. Unfortunately, we will not see the trend of the second place driver from last season win the chase this season. Unfortunately, Greg Hooks was one of the people eliminated. Alongside him, the Elliott Leach, Rod Mitten, and Mark Jorgensen Jr. also eliminated. But we have the cars that are in to the chase. That includes the number 7 of Rodney Wofford, the number 94 of Frank Basilia III, 32 of Seth the Merchant, the number 48 of Josh Ball, the 51 of Jason Omans, and rounding out the final spot in the chase is the number 24 of Josh Hanner.
Yeah, so those guys all looking to finish well here tonight. Don't believe we're going to be cutting anybody here from this one, but all these guys looking to get a win to try to benefit themselves here for the chase at iSuperSpeedway. So should be for an interesting race here. It looks like Seth DeMerchant is going to start on the pole. We'll give you your starting lineup here in a moment, but I want to get Rachel's thoughts here for the A main here before we get going.
Well, good evening, Austin. It's going to be an interesting race tonight, of course. We have 50 laps here tonight, and that's going to be a bigger challenge than the B main we just ran, of course. These guys have a lot more ground to cover. There's bigger implications here, so points mean prizes. We're going to see a lot more action up at the front, and we're going to see a lot of guys who will push a lot harder. So I'm going to expect some carnage. I'm going to expect some interesting moves, and, well, let's see if these guys can actually finally work that high side today.
Gonna go ahead and go down to your starting grid. Seth Merchant gonna be starting on the pole. To his outside, it's gonna be Rodney Wofford. Inside of row number 2 is gonna be Ron Thompson. Starting to his outside, Tony Finn in that 78 machine.
And behind that, in P number 5, will be Greg Hooks in that number 98. Behind them, Jason Ottmans, Josh Hanna, and Mark Jorgensen Jr.
Starting from the 9th position is going to be the 48 Josh Ball. Larry Camp, Derek Walker, and Rod Mitten are going to round out your top 12.
Dana Osborne dominated the B main. He's now worked his way into the A main. He's going to start 13th. Donnie Giratano, 14th. Frank Busilia, 15th. 16th is going to be Tanner Mann. And basically to round out the rest of the field, it's going to be Rittenauer, Evans, Hall, Pacini, Ramirez, Flagg, McEachin, Kyle Gary, Kent Conley, Jimmy Todd, who made it in on the provisional spot, and Corey Henry. These drivers getting ready to go set 50 laps. We had a hell of a race last week. I believe we made it through without any caution. Stayed green pretty much the whole race. Flagman looks the field over. Green flag is out. They're dead even to the starting stripe.
Yeah, they are indeed. Good starter on the outside by the 7 machine of Rodney Wofford. 3 wide, further back in the pack, the 33-4. They were looking at the outside the 18, and they just made it safe for now.
Couple cars dipping down to the apron as these guys now trying to battle it out door to door. Everybody dicing for position. The starts are very crucial here because you want to, a lot of these guys want to try to get to the bottom. But these guys, you'll notice, are team cars. Some of those being cars like, I believe, the 24, the 48, also the Wicked Auto Sports machines that we've seen here. We've actually got some of those guys in the chase with us. Seth DeMerchant, one of those Wicked Auto Sports guys. He's currently leading the pack as the 22 right on his bumper. Rodney Wofford, though, is a Wicked Auto Sports teammate as he's going to jump to the outside. And I tell you what, the strategy that I would try to use here, and this is a strategy that I've seen used in the past by Seth DeMerchant and that Wicked crew, is if you can get 2 team cars to the outside and keep them side by side, it's pretty much impossible to make a pass here, Rachel.
Yeah, it really can be. And, well, you got to try and get that line formed up. We didn't see them do it too well in the B main, but a lot of cars out here, a lot of experienced guys. So big check up there, actually. The number 8 car having to slow down for the 4, nearly running into the 94 there. That is the car of Frank Basilia, who was fighting with Osborne all race long in the B main. What will happen tonight?
Tell you what, if it is anything like last race, I think we'll see a lot of good racing and hopefully keep it green throughout all of this one. I guess it'll just take some time to find out here, as these guys are really dicey for position, running door to door. Again, we mentioned it last race, these guys extremely comfortable running around each other. They've been doing it all season long, so everybody's pretty familiar with one another's driving style, and I think that absolutely shows here with the iSuperSpeedway.com series. And I've got to say, myself have been a spotter for a driver in this series for pretty much all season, so I've seen these races go down and they've been a lot of fun.
On to the lead. Number 7 of Rodney Wofford has taken that lead. First car to make a pass tonight from the outside. Does it in 3 and 4. He will lead a lap here at Daytona.
Absolutely, 7-car Wofford making the pass as I expected. 51 gets knocked underneath the yellow by Tony Finn in the 78 machine. Tony's now going to get a little bit of a boost from the 88 of Jorgensen here, as quite a few team cars right there next to each other. The 51 of Altman's door-to-door with the 78 now, but I absolutely expected Seth in the 32 Coke Chevrolet to check up just a little bit to allow the 7 to drop down in front. That's how you want to be in this one, nose to tail up front.
It is. That outside line's falling apart. The 24, the 88, and the 78 out there, they have no friends right now. That bottom lane is bumper to bumper. They are making sure not to leave a gap. They'd like those 3 cars to cycle backwards.
Outside line trying to basically recompose themselves on the outside line, as they got a little bit scattered there after a little bit of contact up front with the 78. The 78 is right on top of the back bumper of the 22. Mixed contact, has to check up, and wow, wide. Extremely aggressive as we go 3 wide now with the 88, the 98, and the 78. That was almost a big one.
Oh, absolutely. That was crazy, as there's still 3 wide. 78 getting filtered backwards there on the high line. 24 in a sandwich. He will find a place on that line and be a lot more comfortable, I think. But 4 cars on the outside, something could happen here.
Aerodynamics coming into this event as a major role. You'll see these guys dicing out a little bit. You'll kind of see them kind of offset a little bit to the outside of the car in front of them, or sometimes the inside, depending on the situation. That's about the only way that you can make up any time due to the bubble that iRacing has put behind these cars. So they tried to go with a little more, I guess, realistic. Around goes Dana Osborne.
Oh, it's number 31 of Chris Bassini. Unfortunately, the Lannisters send their regards, and Chris Bassini gets put into the outside wall there. Oh my goodness, such carnage coming there from. I got to get a replay of that.
Well, that was actually Hannah. That was Josh Hannah who caught the back end of the 8 car of Dana Osborne. Hannah turns the 8, and the 8 goes hard into the wall, and everything spirals from there.
I think the trouble actually started with the number 48 of Josh Ball, as we get the replay booted up for you so you can see it live. The 48 came down into the 4, made a little bit of contact. I believe the 24 was following the 48's tire tracks, as you'll see here in the replay, and the 24 just made contact with the right rear of Dana Osborne and sent Dana head on into the outside wall. That was a very hard crash. The 24 of Hanner loses the nose of that machine. That's pretty much going to end his night in terms of being competitive. So lots of carnage here on lap 6, as I'm now hearing these guys have a reset in this series. So my apologies there. It looks like Hanner will be able to drop down into pit road, get the backup car loaded up, and back out onto the track. So that's a bit of an advantage for these guys. Was not aware of the reset series.
Yeah, these guys have a reset here, and it helps out a lot. As a driver, I know that you need that reset. I've been in quite a few wrecks myself here, as a few of you may remember, but these guys are going to be having to use that reset. But I really feel bad for Josh Hanner. He is a chase contender, and if he wants to make it into the top 3 going into the final round, he's going to need every position he can to get into the top 3.
Absolutely. Hanner going to drop down into pit road here, as does most of the field, to go ahead and, get some fresh rubber, get that thing fueled back up and back onto the track. So multiple guys here having to repair that damage or probably just take a new car for the most part. Some of these guys, though, that may have taken a little bit less damage might just try to stick it out, as this is a longer event. You don't want to use your reset too early in this one, but the last thing you want to do is not use it, be hurt, and then stay green flag like we did last race. So Seth the Merchant going to lead them back off pit road. There were a few drivers that decided to stay out. Rittenauer stayed out, Busilia stayed out, and also the 22 of Ron Thompson, who had a little bit of contact on the right rear just a few laps ago, also deciding to stay out.
Yeah, well, that was a fairly big one and fairly early on. The car still very much bunched up, so that made it a lot worse for these guys. And it's just so hard to avoid anything here at Daytona. And I'm sure Jared will agree with me. Once it happens, you've got a split second to make a decision.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, realistically, you have a half a second to decide whether you're going to A, step on the brakes, B, go to the left, or C, go to the right. I mean, really, you only have those choices on the super speedway tracks, and it makes it really difficult, because if you make the wrong decision, it's pretty much going to end your night, or you're going to have to use up your reset. And if you have used up your reset, you're pretty much done for the night or out of contention of this race.
Yeah, certainly. Even the slightest bit of damage here will really end the race. You have no speed.
Yeah, absolutely. These guys obviously want to keep these machines as clean as possible, as we are completing lap 8 here. Now under caution, Ron Thompson still currently your leader. We'll go ahead and reset for you now and let you know just where everybody is. The lights on the pace car are off. So Busilia currently going to be scored second, Rittenauer third. None of those drivers in the top 3 taking time in pit road. Seth the Merchant brought him down into pit road, let him off pit road. He's going to be 4th, looking back to the lead. Also, Rodney Wofford, Altman's, it's Jason Altman's in the 51 machine. Mark Jorgensen Jr. is going to be scored 7th. 10th is Donnie Garitano. We saw him last race, racing up front. Tony Finn, who had a little bit of contact just a few laps ago, he's currently scored in the 9th position. And then Tanner Mann is going to round out the top 10 here for you. And I got to tell you what, that was some dicey racing that we saw early on, Rachel. I wasn't expecting guys to be running that close door to door. We didn't see it in the B main until about the last 10 to 15 laps. These guys haven't even made it to lap 10, and we're door to door beating on each other's doors already. And it seems to be a little early in this one for all that.
I think it's kind of important to see that these guys need to go early. They've got to get out there. They've got to get to the front and make a difference, because this thing stand. It's just a little stagnant. We saw that, and a lot of these guys, we saw them, they were watching the B main, they were learning, and they were just paying attention, and they saw how hard it was to pass. So they wanted to secure those positions early, get to the front. They can stay safe out there. That's what they really need to do in this race. But to getting there, it takes the effort. Absolutely.
That game that all these drivers have chosen to play here is we have a total of about 6 vehicles in the race here, and it looks like all 26 for the most part still in the lead lap. Actually, Josh Ball currently scored 1 lap down, so he'll have to fight to wake himself back up front. The green flag is out. The 22 of Ron Thompson leading him back to the green flag, is getting a challenge from Busilia to the outside. Seth DeMerchant in that Coke SS Chevrolet right on the back bumper. Busilia, who has the advantage for the first time down into turn number 1.
Yeah, he does, and great move for Busilia there. He's in a prime position to have something happen. Other cars formed up behind him, so they could really get this move done early, secure a lead position for him on the inside. But this early in the race, you got to make friends. And when we saw the 7 go to the lead, of course, he went down. As soon as he was clear, he pulled down. Whereas I think if Busilia really wants some help later on in this race to either keep him in the lead or to help defend it, he's going to have to wait until the 32 clears with him and just try and make a friend. You build those bridges now, you burn them later.
Teammates side by side. That's the 7 of Wofford and the 32 of Seth the Merchant. Now Seth gets a bit more help from the 88 of Jorgensen, who just jumped to the outside line. You'll see the 78 for the first time down on the inside line. That's Tony Finn. He was on the outside for the beginning of this one. Also, another driver coming now into picture is the number 2 machine of Donnie Garitano. He was fast in the B main, as now the 94 gets the push to the outside and into the lead. Seth the Merchant now to the outside of the 94 machine of of Frank Busilia, and we'll see what he can do with it. Not too much help from that 88 machine right now, though.
No, those guys falling back. They just haven't quite got formed up as much. And well, looks like Frank Busilia decided he wanted that lead more than he wanted a friend. And that outside line could definitely go around him now, and he could have brought someone with him and checked that line, because the less cars you leave on the outside, of course, the less chance of ever getting past you. And well, there's a lot of them up there, but the 2 dives back in line. He wants to stay low. There's only 2 really connected on the outside. The 51 falling back. Could have been the prime time to go to the front for Busilia.
Seth the Merchant has now proven that you can push somebody around on the outside. He pushed Busilia up and around the 22 machine of Ron Thompson, and made it look pretty good. So Seth the Merchant now stuck to the outside. However, I'm sure he's probably communicating with the 7 of Wofford saying, hey, bud, I need some help out here. So we'll see exactly what those 2 drivers can work out. Both of them are in contention for the points championship here. And I know Seth has been talking about it nonstop for the past several weeks, just how excited he is to be in the position that he is here with iSuperSpeedway series. He's actually been talking to myself and several other guys about coming over here to race in this series. And I got to tell you what, Jared, this is definitely an interesting series, but the guys over here, I've raced with a lot of these guys. I've talked to league administrators, one of the most professional group of gentlemen that you can race around. These guys are extremely professional. They do a great job. They put on a great show. And I'm sure you could, attest to the fact that if you want to run in a fantastic league, check these guys out.
Yeah, definitely. I've been running with these guys, like I said, the B main for almost 3 years, and I just recently made the transition up to the broadcast booth. But this league is probably one of the most well-organized leagues that I have been a part of. Rod Flagg has done an amazing job. He shells out his own money, time, just to make sure that this league runs great, as I can't tell what position he's running currently, but he is always putting on a great show, and the drivers here are just so respectful for the most part. And I'm learning he's actually running 26 at the moment, but right now we still have this battle up front, as Seth the Merchant is getting up there to the door of the 21 of Ray Rittenauer. He's actually going to try to make a run now, and he's trying to get up to the door of Ron Thompson. Thompson actually moves high a little bit and cuts off Seth's run, but Jorgensen's not there to push him, and he's going to fall back here going into 1.
I want to talk about somebody that knows how to utilize the side draft. That would be the Hanner cars in this one, and also the Wicked Auto Sports machine of Seth the Merchant, also that 7 of Wofford. And I think that's part of the reason why you'll see Seth making the huge run that he's making right now, 208 miles an hour into turn number 3 to the outside of Busilia. Busilia gets the better of it, though, on entry, as the 32 of DeMerchant had no help from Jorgensen there, just not able to get to the back bumper of that Chevrolet of Seth DeMerchant. So these guys now side by side again. The 21 makes a little bit of door-to-door contact with Jorgensen. He's able to settle things down and get back going. There's just not enough help on the outside line right now, Rachel. These guys are running extremely close door-to-door, but the outside line just has nothing for them.
Yeah, we saw this in the B main, of course. You use that side draft to really kind of check up that inside line, but if you're not hooked up on the outside, you've nowhere to go, so you can't really take advantage of it. All it ends up doing is bunching the pack up, and you don't get the run. So these guys need to either run higher and just break that side draft, push further around, or get down low, squash them as low as they can, get the side draft working, but be hooked up at the same time to actually move that momentum forwards. It's like putting 2 magnets pole to pole. You need that repelling force, you need something to shove it in the right direction. Right now, they have one or the other, but not both.
Absolutely. Lap 16 now in the book. Seth the Merchant now once again to the rear quarter panel of Busilia, to the outside of Ron Thompson there, unable to get up there quite door-to-door with him. Ron Thompson, though, almost up into Seth the Merchant once again, now down to the inside. So maybe a little bit of a little handling machine there for Thompson, as the 88 has done a little bit better job the last few laps of staying glued to the rear end of Seth the Merchant. Now help coming, though, on the outside. Here comes Altman's in the 15, and the 92 of Rod Mitten also up there on the outside line. So maybe the outside line starting to form up here a little bit, as they know that if you want to have anybody up there on the outside line, Seth the Merchant's not a bad guy to have, and neither is that 88 machine of Jorgensen.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Jorgensen is by far one of the best pushers. But I actually got to talk about one other person. Number 51 of Jason Altman's. He has been currently up there in the 10 pretty much the entire race, and he's actually been a little bit of a sleeper. So right now, I would say that Jason Altman's how he's been able to move through the field is going to be one of my top picks to actually win this race. But right now, he's going to have a lot of work cut out for him, as those wicked motorsports cars are just so fast. As he gets a big run, Seth the Merchant gets a big run, and Ron Thompson moves high there. And I mean, Austin, this is getting crazy. These guys are pushing for everything they are worth.
Things getting crazy
these
to
guys
front.
absolutely-
Seth the Merchant getting right up to the side now off Frank Basilia.
Absolutely side by side. Seth the Merchant getting a little scared there of that 22 machine. That 22's been dicey these last several laps. So I'm not sure if it's an ill handling machine or just can't quite get a hold on it. Seth has moved his racing lineup just a hair, not running quite as tight on the low line as he was a few laps ago. But these top 5 have actually got a little bit of a breakaway from the group behind them. They've pulled off to about a car length and a half, but now the outside making another run. Here comes the 51 of Altman's, who you spoke about just a lap ago. He's making his run to the outside line. Gonna try to give Seth the Merchant and the 88 of Jorgensen a little bit of help here and see if they can make the pass here down the backstretch, Rachel.
Yeah, they really have to put something into this one to make it happen. But then they come on the outside of Frank Basilia. The 94 car being passed now by Seth the Merchant. He will go to the point and he will straight down. No help from the 88 behind him. Sorry, Jorgensen, I'm out of here.
I think if you're Seth the Merchant, you absolutely have to do that, though. You're in contention for points here. The last thing you want to do is decide to be the nice guy. Unfortunately, I hate to say it that way. Seth's not a bad guy, but sometimes racing's racing, and for somebody like Frank Basilia, who is in the point standings with Seth the Merchant, you're racing the guys in points, not necessarily the guys on the track.
You really got to consider, I mean, Frank Basilia is the only one in the points right now who has won a championship before. And so Frank is really shooting for that second championship here as he pushes Seth the Merchant down. But right now, I know they're just going to be biding their time, because if they do end up finishing 1-2, I mean, that just makes it a little bit easier for them going on here to make it into the top 3 next time, or in the next race.
Lose 2 championships. Actually, I take it back. 1 championship. My apologies. That he's talking about was actually the first season of this series, and he actually finished 13 points over driver Brandon Chaburko back in season 1. So Frank Basilia knows how to get it done here. He knows how to be a championship caliber driver. I think he's done just exactly that throughout the season. Now, just a couple races left to try to get the job done, but several drivers who might have something to say about that, Rachel.
Yeah, there are, and I think everybody here, Chase or not, will want to win this race. They always do, and well, and they could really throw a spanner in the works for this one. But right now, to merge, he's in a hot seat right now for taking the points here. Frank Basilia is not ready to let it go.
Absolutely not. Seth likes what he sees right now because he's got a driver to the outside of Basilia. Obviously, we're only coming up on the halfway mark in this race, so plenty of time left in this one. But at the end of the race, that's what you want to see. You want to see a driver to the outside of Frank Basilia because you know he can't make a move to your outside.
I'll tell you what, one car I just noticed coming through the field, the number 92, where did he come from? He is up to almost the 5th position now. He was way back there in the packet as far as I last knew, but right now Rod Mitten, the number 92, is actually making a great run here as he's right behind the 51 of Jason Altman's, and another car who was just wrecked about 15 laps ago. The number 24 of Josh Hanner, the Hanner Motorsports Chevrolet, is back up, and he is inside the top 10 again. And it just goes to show on how well these drivers can work the draft.
Absolutely, the Hanner machine of Josh Hanner has worked his way back into the top 10. So several of these guys moving around, and that's the great thing about iSuperSpeedway and the current draft package is that you have the ability to really work the draft here and kind of place yourself where you want to be. And I think that's kind of what you'll see some of these guys do. You're seeing guys on the outside line that didn't start there as we come to the halfway mark this time by. The 94 machine was almost up into the door of the 88 machine. But we're going to go ahead and take some time to give you the full field rundown here. Seth the Merchant currently scored in first. Frank Busilia currently scored second, now getting a challenge from the outside. Mark Jorgensen is the one challenging him. Jason Altman's also there. Ron Thompson scored in the 5th position. Rod Mitten scored 6th. We just spoken about him. He made a run from the back of the field. Rittenauer is now up to 7th. Josh Hanner involved in a wreck early. He's worked his way back up to 8th. Rodney Walford contending for points. He's in 9th, trying to get back to his Wicked Autosports teammate of Seth the Merchant. Tony Finn scored 10th. Ramirez 11th. McEachin 12th. Giratano, Evans, Osborne, Tanner Mann, Greg Hooks, Walker in the 4 machine, Chris Passini, Kent Conley, Kyle Gary, Larry Camp, Rod Flagg, one of the league administrators here. He scored back in the 23rd position. Tommy Hall, Jimmy Todd, and Josh Ball, who's currently still scored a lap down and scored 26th.
Yeah, indeed, we've lost a lot of cars from that initial wreck. They've all been filtered towards the rear. We have a pack right at the back right now, of course, with Rod Flagg, Tommy Hall, Jimmy Todd, and Larry Camp. They're riding this one out and trying to avoid any potential catastrophe, but they're too wide, too deep there. 22nd place through 25th, and well, now they're 9 seconds behind the pack. Could be a safe place to be.
Yeah, I mean, these guys up here are going to be running 2x2. Now, what those guys, Rod Flagg and that crew, need to do is they need to be single file and just ride around this track and just pray for caution at this point. Because these guys pushing up here, as you see the number 92 of Rod Mitten pushing the 88, if they make a slight mistake, that's going to take this whole field out. There's a big checkup going on in the back with Giratano, Osborne, and Mann. They all had to check up really hard right there. And if you make the wrong move or bump somebody at the wrong time, oh, the number 24 drops right down in front of the number 7. That was dangerous. And like I said, it might be safer to be Rod Flagg if you are wanting to go the long way in this race.
Yeah, absolutely. Now the outside line is completely dropped off here in this one is the 88. Oh, a little bit of contact with the 24. Wow, they're checking up hard. Damage to the 78. The 28 got into the back of the 78. That was Tony Finn now with some rear end damage. Not quite sure what was going on there. Hanner got up into the 88 of Jorgensen. The 7 had to check up hard, which caused basically an accordion effect all the way back. The 28, I guess his spotter didn't get to the radio quick enough. That was Shane McEachin made contact with the back of the 78 machine of Tony Finn. Doesn't look like it did too much damage, but it definitely pushed in the right rears. They're checking up again. Almost trouble with Wofford. Wow. These guys having some issues here right after the mid-race rundown here.
Man, I tell you what, these guys are putting on a show right now. And the 24 jumping down, we had, actually, Petey Zeller came up with a term. It's called pulling a Haggerty. That was what I used to do all the time, was getting my car where it shouldn't be and just cutting a guy off there. But right now, you see this outside line starting to form there as it's being led by Jason Altman. My pick right now, and he's going to be pushed to the lead here, possibly by Mark Jorgensen, but Busilia's got a big push on the number 32 of Seth the Merchant, and I don't know if Altman's is going to have enough. Is he going to have enough? He is. If he wants to come down, he can. Jason Altman's goes to the lead as they come down into one.
Don't expect too much from that outside line, though, because there is no help for those Hanerick cars on the outside line, and I guarantee you, Seth the Merchant does not want another car in front of him, so expect to see Seth jump back to the outside line to try to get back around that 51 machine, if at all possible. We'll just kind of see what happens here. I know he is friendly with the Hanerick machines, but obviously, as we saw earlier on, he's not afraid to leave one out.
Yeah, he's definitely not afraid to leave one out. I mean, the 88 and 24, we know they're teammates. We know they're going to work there. But unfortunately for them, they're the only ones of their team that are up there. The closest person sitting next to him is going to be the number 5 of Tanner Mann. He's currently scored in the 14th position. So if they want to get a run here, they're going to have to get up together. Unfortunately, the 24 ducks down in the line, and he's going to leave Mark Jorgensen out driving. As he comes back up now. Oh, Jorgensen gets into the side of the 21 there, And I tell you what, these guys are getting crazy, but I think they're going to start to settle down here as Austin, we are coming up on lap 32.
Not just up on lap
guys,
32, but lap traffic as well on the outside. That 48 machine dropped from the pack. He's going to be an interesting factor for the outside line.
Absolutely. There's a few guys to think twice there as drivers having to get 3 wide there. But for those of you that are interested here in the iRacing simulation, be sure to check it out. It's iRacing.com. And these guys, over at iRacing have made a product here dating back to 2007. A lot of these guys are some of the originals from Papyrus who brought NASCAR 2003 to us. They've done a great job with the code here, and they're always working on bigger, better things with the iRacing simulation. And I tell you what, this is one great league to have featured in the iRacing simulation. So if you want to take part in the racing action, you can do so for not too expensive, I would say. My first wheel and pedal set was rather cheap. Didn't cost me, but a little more than $100 to get started. Decent computer. I was actually running on a laptop to start, believe it or not, Jared. And I've since upgraded to bigger, better machines, and it's done pretty well for me. I've been in the iRacing simulation now since 2007. I was actually back in the beta stages. So wanted to give them a quick shout out, a great product they've put out for us here. And if you want to get in again on the racing action, be sure to check out iRacing.com. And hey, maybe you'll be featured here on the Voice of Sim Racing at Live Sim Racing TV.
Yeah, these guys are just a great group of guys to be racing with. As you see, number 94 up there, check up the top side there. He cut off Josh Hanner, and he wanted that push as he's going to try to go for the lead here. I don't think he's going to have enough, though, as Septa Merchant's going to give a big push to Jason Altmans, and Hanner is actually going to have to get up on Busilia if he's going to make a charge for the front here. That was a daring move by Busilia as he's going to try to take the lead here down the backstretch. I don't think he's going to have enough. If he wants to cut in front of Altmans, he will not. And that's going to leave the inside line with the advantage coming out of 4.
Not quite sure about that one. Busilia, I think, had just enough clearance to probably drop down in front of the 51. He chose not to do so. That may be a costly mistake, but I tell you, Busilia made the move that I expected DeMerchant to make as now Hanner drops down, and I'm hearing possible wreck in the back of the field. Doesn't look like we're under caution as of yet. Everybody's still on track, and the green flag stays out. Nobody wrecking in this one. Looks like there was just a close call there as a few drivers with a little bit of rear end damage.
Yeah, what happened there was the number 8 of Dana Osborne had to check up for the number 28 of Shane McEachin there, and unfortunately the car right behind him, I believe that is Kyle Gary. It's 3 wide up front for third, and Busilia is going to go to the outside, and Hanner is going to get the Dale Earnhardt Hall. Nobody is going to go with him, fortunately, and that's going to put him all the way back to the 6th position as Jorgensen slides and pulls a Haggerty right there in front of Hanner. Oh, man, I don't think these guys can last for much longer, Austin.
Pulling a Haggerty, is that one of your favorite moves, Jared?
Yeah, that would actually be probably my favorite move here in this series, Rachel.
Yeah, possibly a little bit of a abrupt position change there by the 88 machine of Mark Jorgensen Jr., but out at the front we have Frank Busilia. He is pushing on the outside, the 88 machine hauling ass behind him, hitting that bumper, trying to get him a little bit close to the front, keeping that nose inside the air bubble on the rear end of that car. We talked about that during the B main, of course, that these cars have an air bubble behind them. It's a cushion, and well, the more tape the car has, the bigger that bubble gets. You just can't push through it. There's nowhere for it to go. You either offset or the driver in front has to lean, lift off a bit and get you in there, but those cars can stay hooked up. You can go fast here, and the 88 is working well with that 94 car there of Josh Hanner. He's fallen back a bit, as has the 92 machine of Rod Mitten. The outside line very disorganized after that 3 wide scrap, but Busilia on the outside by a nose was leading there. He will not lead it at the stroke, we think, but the 51 of Altmans, it will hold that inside line. This is getting dicey at the front, Jarrett.
Yeah, it's getting really dicey here. These guys are going to be pushing for everything they're worth as we are coming up on 12 laps to go. I mean, it's getting to that point where now is the time to go. You got to show what you got here, and you got to try to make your hole to get to the front because you've only got 12 laps to do it. If the average time to get back up here, we see Red Burko come from the back to front in 7 laps. And it is very possible as they're going 3 wide again for the lead. Busilia is going to go to the outside, and he's going to get left by Mark Jorgensen as Jorgensen says bye-bye to the number 94 McFlurry car. And now it's going to be Seth the Merchant going for the lead here as they come out of 4 here down to the start-finish line. And Altmans is going to lead this lap. Seth the Merchant with a daring move and cutting off Jorgensen is, oh man, Austin, this is getting wild.
It is indeed. The 24 of Hannah being quite respectful there to the 94 and letting him in. So this battle will continue. Austin.
39 in the books, and it looks like that one is going to go to Jason Altmans, but now Seth the Merchant getting the push from the outside. Don't expect him to stay up there if he gets clear. He barely clears him. Props to the spotter. I don't know how he was able to give his driver the all clear there. That was just too close to call. That's a veteran driver right there at Super Speedways, knowing the exact dimensions of that car, because there was no room. On the front stretch. Hard call in the wall.
The big one strikes here at Daytona.
Mark Jorgensen, unfortunately, was the victim in that one, as he just got clobbered there by Frank Busilia. He actually got loose there in the trioval. It looks like Frank Busilia got him loose, goes down into the 20 of Ron Thompson, and from there he just came up the racetrack.
Sorry, Jared, I've got to correct you there, actually. Replay showing on your screen. It's a little different story, actually. The 22 of Ron Thompson actually comes up off the bottom there and catches the 88 in the rear quarter, sets him loose, turns him round, and off we go. Lots of scrap metal here in pit road.
Unfortunately, another driver currently sitting in pit road is Wofford. Wofford, heavy damage to that machine, and that's definitely not the place you want to be when you're contending for the points championship. But Seth the Merchant currently scored exactly where he wants to be. He had just cleared the 51 of Altmans before that wreck happened. And I mentioned the 22 of Ron Thompson earlier on. He just seemed to have a lot of trouble keeping that vehicle locked down on the bottom line. And I think that obviously showed there as the start of the wreck coming from the 22 of Thompson.
Yeah, it was indeed. And it was one of those things that was always brewing. These guys 3 and 4 wide, 2 wide all the time. It was unfortunately likely we'd have something again. And well, we know there's a lot of junk cars that'll be out of this one. They have, of course, used their fast repair on that car. So good old-fashioned elbow grease and sawzalls for these drivers to get these cars fixed up, because we have a lot of junk race cars. It's probably the fastest place for it to happen in the trioval. It's one of those dangerous spots out the trioval. The cars are moving around a lot. It's the lower banking, so typically you tend to get wrecks here, and I think we'll see a lot of people come to pit road. We have 9 laps remaining in this one. This is going to be a dash for the cash now.
Unfortunately, the biggest loser out of that whole wreck got to be the number 24 of Josh Hanner. He had already used his quick fix. That is going to have huge chase implications, as he's currently being scored in the 24th position, 1 lap down, Austin.
Yeah, absolutely. Some drivers going to be out of this one, and some drivers in some pretty bad positions that didn't necessarily want to be in. But, since we're past the halfway point, Seth the Merchant currently leading the field on lap 42. Not too many left. We're going to go ahead and take the chance to send you LSRTV side by side so you don't miss anything. Stay right here with us live. We'll be back shortly on LSRTV. Welcome back to LSRTV, the voice of sim racing. Again, this is Austin Atkinson, Rachel Whiteford alongside me, and Jared Haggerty also doing some driver analysis for us here. Laura Lawson down in the booth, pushing all the buttons for us. Give you a quick rundown of the top 10 before we go back to Green Flag Racing. Seth the Merchant, that Wicked Auto Sports machine, he's up front, currently scored first. Jason Altman second, Tony Finn third. McEachin scored fourth. Fifth is Tanner Mann, I apologize. Chris Pacini scored in the sixth position. Seventh is currently Greg Hooks. Seventh is Walker in the four. Larry Camp scored ninth. And 10th is Tommy Hall. These guys getting things back together after that yellow flag. And quite a few guys with a little bit of damage. A lot of those guys had to go in and utilize the reset that they didn't have to utilize earlier. One of those drivers, though, unfortunately, that was unable to finish this one. It was a big name that we were expecting big things from in this one, and that was Hanner. Hanner took the car behind the wall, loaded it up, and said, see you next week, boys. Green flag is out. Seth the Merchant's going to lead him down to the green flag. And I tell you what, Jared, that's unfortunate for Hanner, as, again, he's in the points.
Oh,
so what do you do?
They're wrecking. Jimmy Todd gets wrecked and runs down right in the flag. But unfortunately, there's going to be no caution. Oh, now the race control throws the caution. And what happened there, as Jimmy Todd went up the track, Rod Mitten tried to shoot the gap there, and Todd just came down right into Mitten and then just nailed flag, and from there on it was just total carnage.
I'm not quite sure what happened there with Todd. It looked like he may have spun the tires a little bit as the car just kind of shot off right, as you'll see here in the LSR TV replay, a little bit to the outside, and it looked like the 92 decided he was going to shoot the gap, thinking the 18 was giving him the middle line, and Mitten made contact, dropped him down into the 26. You'll see several cars involved. The 83 gets into Kent Conley and then comes back down the track and just absolutely slams the 75 of Ramirez. Then the 45 of Kyle Gary gets involved. The 21 of Rittenauer also involved. So several vehicles with heavy damage. And the biggest one to note, Frank Busilia, heavy front end, left front end damage. And he's already used a reset here.
Yeah, he has indeed. And well, that was a little bit of miscommunication on that restart, of course, and we had several drivers and cars that just, well, you spin your tires and everyone wants to go. It's 9 to go, and you've got to get to that flag, so take a free spot when you get it, but you got to be a little bit patient when guy spins his tires, and there's a good chance he'll move back down again. He wasn't entirely clear and didn't quite move, so Osborne's gone behind the wall, gone to the garages. Another driver in a great position for the points here that just is now, well, way out of this one. We've really shaken things up with two major wrecks. Will we go green again? That's the question.
I don't know if we're going to go green again, but right now the chase implications is going to be the number 48 of Josh Ball. That is another chase driver who has taken his car behind the wall, and I mean, they're just running out of spots. I mean, Frank Busilia has already used his reset. Not going to be able to get up there and contend for the win here. And with only 3 laps to go, I don't even know if we're going to be able to start this race back up.
It may be possible that we get a 1-lap shootout. We'll have to see where things settle with the officials here and whether we can actually get back to green flag racing. I think if you're Seth the Merchant right now, you're praying that we don't. If you're somebody like Altman's, you're calling up your spotter going, hey, can you get a word in with the officials there, see if we can get back to green flag racing? Because I think Altman still that he has a chance, but an unfortunate night for 2 of those Hanner drivers. Ball and also, we mentioned earlier, Hanner out of this one. They got involved in an earlier accident that was actually involved the 2 of them as teammates. So an unfortunate series of events. Fortunately for them, nobody's going to get cut from this race. And again, we've still got 2 races left, so still some good racing left to go before we decide a champion here, Jared.
Yeah, but unfortunately, that means next week, either Ball or Hanner is going to have to win just to make it into the final 3 for the chase coming up. Because if you look at here, you got such big names: DeMerchant, Altman, DeMerchant who's leading, Altman's who's in second. You got the next closest driver, which I believe would be Actually, it's Busilia. So, I mean, this is actually shaking up a lot here in this final few laps, but we will find out this time by if we are going to have a green-white checkered finish as the pace lights are on. We will see as they cross the trioval what it's going to happen here. They're coming through this, and Austin, let's make the call on what's going to happen here.
I'm not quite sure. We've still got a little bit of time left. Looks like the lights on the pace car are going to stay on, but I think we're going to get a green-white checkered, judging by the iRacing service and how these typically work out. I've done enough of these super speedway races, but I think we're going to see a green-white checkered. But in the meantime, why don't we go ahead and give you a full field rundown here. Seth DeMerchant currently leading Jason Altman's in that number 51 machine. Tony Finn scored in that AC Delco machine. He's currently scored third. Shane McEachin scored fourth, and fifth is Tanner.
Chris Bassini and the Game of Thrones car, the number 31 Game of Thrones car, is going to be rolling off sixth. The number 4, Derek Booker, the Big City car, good night for him. He's going to be 7th. Number 98, another Big City cars of Greg Hooks, is going to be 8th. Number 29, Tommy Hall, 9th. And number 33, a good run for Larry Camp.
Yeah, behind them, Ron Thompson rolling off 11th. Kent Connolly, P12, Donnie Giranto, and Rodney Wofford in P14.
15th is going to be Rod Mitten in that 92 machine. Jimmy Todd, who we saw, I wouldn't want to say the cause of the last caution, but involved in the last caution. He's currently scored 16th. 17th is Ray Rittenauer. He was involved in that last wreck, took some damage from that one. Ramon Evans, I apologize, I butchered your first name earlier on in the race. Ramon Evans, that is, though, currently scored in 18th. 19th is Jorgensen, and 20 with damage, Busilia in the 94 machine.
And the final cars, these are all lap down cars. It's going to be the number 75, Ramirez, 45, Kyle Geary. Flag is going to be 23rd, Josh Ball, 24th, Dana Osborne, 25th, and rounding out the field in 26 is number 24 of Josh Hanner.
Well, guess what? We're going to go back to green flag racing, and Seth DeMerchant is currently having nightmares. This is not what he wanted to see. He did not want the lights on the pace car to go off. Somebody upstairs is not happy with him because we are going back to green flag racing next time by, and it's going to make for one hell of a finish here with the iSuperSpeedway Racing League. And I tell you what, this is going to set up for an interesting finish. We have some guys in the field with some damage, but I'd say it's only appropriate to go ahead and take our picks. I mean, I should have done it earlier on in the race, but we got one to hell. Obviously, I got to go with the teammate. I got to go with Seth DeMerchant. He's leading the field, and I may be a little impartial. Rachel?
Well, it's a tough decision up here. I think my money's got to be on the likes of, well, not anymore. He's actually way down the field and out. That's my bet's out the window. So, with the guys that are left, probably DeMerchant. He's had a powerful car. He's been one of the few cars to hold it up the front and pass around the outside. So, 32 car, Seth DeMerchant.
I'm actually going to be going against y'all for this one, and I'm going to choose number 51, Jason Altman's. He has ran a great race. He's been really quiet all day, but now it's time to show your teeth. Now it's going to time to show what you're worth here, and he's going to have a good person to push him behind him in that Davey Allison classic paint scheme. The number 28 of Shane McEachin. Pace car is down. We are going green. Green flag is out. One lap to go. Austin, take it away.
Side by side, these guys go. Seth DeMerchant is door to door with the 51 of Altman's. The 28 machine of McEachin got right on the back bumper of the 51, gave him a little shove, got a little loose, almost made contact down with the 78 of Tony Finn. Tony Finn hasn't been this far up in the running order all night. We'll see what he can do with the 32 machine. We don't know what he's capable of pushing. We do know what the 28 is capable of, and he can make anybody in front of him go extremely fast. I don't know if these guys are going to be up to pace enough to really work the draft, though. Seth DeMerchant got a car length lead right now down into turn number 3. The 78 still right on his bumper. I think Seth DeMerchant might be able to take this one. The 51 trying to work the side draft of the 78. Coming to the checkers, Seth DeMerchant is going to be able to take the win here. And it looks like Tony Finn just going to nose out the 51 of Altman's to take second. So good win to Seth DeMerchant and a hell of a last lap here, just as we would have expected.
Big points implications for Seth DeMerchant as he takes home the win here. Those Wicked Motorsports guys are on fire, Rachel. I mean, this is their third win in a row out of the last 3 races. I mean, I don't think these guys can be beaten right now.
No, it's an impressive run and great to see this sort of performance from these guys. They're on strong form, and you know when you're on strong form, it buoys you up and it improves your general attitude towards the races. So when you get one good result, more tend to come and follow, and this has definitely got implications for the chase. Seth DeMerchant, powerful car here today.
Definitely a powerful car and a great race here. You know, I enjoyed this one. First race here in the booth with this series, and I would say it was a great one, to say the least. First time working with you guys, it was a hell of a race, and you know, I can't give hats off enough to these guys. You know, great series they put on here, great racing action they put on here, and definitely one of the more unique formats that I've seen in a racing series here on the iRacing simulation. But we're going to go ahead and step away, handle some business before we come back, get some driver interviews, and go ahead and let you know where your favorite driver placed here in this 50-lap event. So go ahead, grab yourself a snack, grab a drink, because we'll be right back here on the voice of Sim Racing, LSRTV.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks in terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
Welcome back live here on LSRTV, where we've just completed 50 laps at Daytona. Seth DeMerchant coming away with quite the win here in this one over Tony Finn. The top three finished within a tenth of each other here, and a great racing action once again here. Seth trying to get down to pit road, drivers getting out of their cars and getting settled here, and we'll go ahead and grab some interviews here shortly. Want to go ahead and give you the full field rundown here, though, before we take care of that. Seth DeMerchant coming away with the win here. Tony Finn scored in the second position, worked his way up there. Didn't see him really in the top five too much throughout the race. Jason Altmans, who we thought may have a chance to take the win here, was unable to do so. Couldn't get the cars up to speed on that one lap shootout. Shane McEachin worked his way up into the top 5. He scored 4th. Tanner Mann 5th. Derek Walker currently scored in the 6th position. Chris Piscini worked his way up to 7th. Ron Thompson involved with a caution there late. He was scored 8th. Tommy Hall, somebody we didn't talk too much about, had a great finish here. He finished 9th. 10th was Larry Camp. Rachel, go ahead and let us know who was 11th through 20th there.
Well, coming home in P11 was Greg Hooks. Of course, he was out of the chase as of last week. Donny Garanto in P12. Rod Mitten, P13. Ray Rittenau in P14. Mark Jorgensen Jr., P15. Kent Connolly in P15. Jimmy Todd, Raymond Evans, Rodney Wofford, and Rod Flagg rounding out your top 20.
And your final, the final cars in the field are going to be Frank Busilia coming 21st, Jose Ramirez 22nd, Kyle Geary is going to be scored 23rd, Josh Ball 24th, Dana Osborne 25th, and Josh Tanner rounding out your field is going to be scored 11 laps down in 26th.
So there you have it. Drivers coming away. Once again, the top 3 finishing within a 10th. And that was a great battle we had up front there in the final laps of this one. And I believe we are going to go ahead and try to get some interviews, as it looks like we have caught up with our 3rd place finisher. Jared, I believe you've got Jason Altman down on pit road.
Yeah, I got Jason Altman's down here. And Jason, you worked your way up through the field. You were a little bit of a sleeper throughout the whole night. I mean, tell us about your run and what went on there in the last closing laps.
Frustrating. Yeah, I guess I was trying to play it. I had a kind of a game plan from the beginning with the fuel mileage stuff. So I figured if we get a early caution like what happened, I'd figure, hey, go down, pit real quick, and then I don't have to worry about it for the rest of the race. And that's what ended up happening. And we still ended up pretty good track position after the pit. Warm weather kind of played a factor tonight, so it wasn't as racy as it usually is. So last lap there, and kind of sucks because if you get put on the outside, just like you get put on the outside on a restart, you're going to get freight trained. And so I kind of just accepted the fact that I wasn't going to be winning. I was like, well, we'll see what happens here. But yeah, you know what's going to happen when you're on the outside on a restart.
Oh, I sure do, and I know that personally. I've been in that position, but a 3rd place finish is not bad going forward in the chase. What's your plan for next week, looking forward to the chase?
You know, I should be happy with the 3rd place. I really should, because yeah, I'm looking at one that ended up happening with the rest of the guys that are in the rest of the chase here who haven't been eliminated, and they all finished way at the back. So I should be ecstatic with a third place finish here. So next week, more than likely, I mean, I don't want to lay back. I know that I think I can probably go out and just kind of run around and just collect my points and focus on the last race of the season for the win here, because I think I really put myself in a good position to get to the final 3 spots. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I still haven't decided if I'm just going to be relaxed next week or if I'm actually going to go for it. So I don't know. We'll decide in midweek, I think.
All right, Jason. Well, before we let you go, any sponsors, shout-outs you want to give?
Best Buy and my wife for allowing me to have a steering wheel on my desk.
I understand that feeling. Well, we are going to take it down to Rachel Whiteford, who is caught up with the number 78 of Tony Finn. Rachel, take it out.
Thank you, Austin Daniel with Tony Fenn. Tony, you came home today in P2. Pretty eventful race in both the B main and this A main race, and narrowly avoiding calamity in that last one.
I just was able to keep it clean and stay out of trouble and pick the right line at the right time there.
So just tell me for the viewers, please, just how hard was it working on the outside there? We saw you up there a few times. How hard was it to make ground?
It was pretty hard on the outside. The bottom was definitely the place to be.
It was indeed. And any sponsors you'd like to thank? I guess not. Back to you, Austin.
We're down here in victory lane, going to catch up with Seth the Merchant in that 32 Wicked Auto Sports Share a Coke. I'm a little confused by this paint scheme because there's no way in hell I would share a Coke with Seth the Merchant. He probably wouldn't give the damn thing back. Anyhow, Seth coming away with the win and a hell of a finish. Everybody finished, the top three again finished within a tenth of each other. Seth, the hell's going through your mind there? One lap to go. I know you were wanting that one to stay under caution flag conditions. Obviously, that wasn't the case. Somebody upstairs didn't like you too much. They decided to go back to green flag. What did you have to do to defend there?
Oh man, I just planned a bunch of different things that could happen when we'd go back green. I was just thinking of what I could do. I was thinking Tony was going to pull up in front of Jason if we cleared, so I was trying to time the restart so that he couldn't get clear, and then I didn't want to get too bad of a restart so that Jason would get by me, so I was pretty worried there. But we got it done.
Absolutely got it done, and this ties you at 3 wins with teammate Rodney Wofford. Rodney also had 3 wins on the season, and he won the last race. You won the first race of the chase. You win this one, so looks to me like Wicked Autosports absolutely dominating the chase thus far. What do you have to continue to do in order to get Wicked Autosports that championship?
Well, my plan is for the next race, since I'm already locked into the final round, I'm just going to help Rodney out here and see if we can get 2 Wicked Autosports cars for the final round so that maybe one of us has a shot for it.
Absolutely gunning for the championship. Wicked Autosports has shown they are the force to be reckoned with thus far in the chase, and I don't know that anybody's going to be able to knock them off. Henrik having a hard time, that team having a hard time in this race. Several of those drivers got knocked out before the end of this one. Seth the Merchant and teammate Rodney Wofford able to keep the noses clean and get a good finish in this one. Before we do let you step out, Seth, I want to give you the chance to give any shout outs you may want to give friends, family, anything like that.
I just need to thank Preston Pardis and P Money Design for the awesome paint scheme he made me for this week. I need to thank everybody over at Wicked Autosports, Rodney Wofford, Donnie Garantano, and Jose. I need to thank you guys for broadcasting and Rod for putting on this amazing league.
Absolutely. Well, gotta love the paint scheme, but I'm still not gonna share a Coke with you. Maybe if you win the prize at the end, you can go buy yourself a big old case of Coke because you're not getting any from me. Anyhow, that's Seth DeMerchant taking the big win here. 2 races in the books for him. Go ahead and mark a W, another W next to Seth DeMerchant's name here in the iSuperSpeedway series. So, Rachel, want to go ahead and give you the chance to kind of give some final thoughts on this race. A hell of an event here, 50 laps in the books here. Seth DeMerchant coming away with the big win, but like we mentioned, 1 lap shootout there at the end and quite the battle.
Yeah, certainly, Austin. And 1-lap shootouts are always going to be one of those nightmare situations for drivers. It's so short, you have to make any sort of ground at the start. And as the laps wind down on super speedways, it gets to be a case of everyone jumping for 1 or 2 little spots. And I think these guys had a great race tonight. It was frantic, it was exciting, but at the forefront, it was good, respectful racing for the majority, and I absolutely loved it.
Your thoughts, Jared?
Well, my thoughts going into next week are especially the points. I mean, the top drivers tonight were obviously going to all night were Seth Merchant and Jason Altman's. But if you look further back here in the field, you see the furthest person that was even close to them was Rodney Wofford. He ended up finishing 19th, and his fellow competitors in the chase, Frank Brasilia, ended up 21st, Josh Ball 24th, Hanner finished 26th. So next week is pretty much going to be an all-out brawl between those because they are going to be very close in points going into the next race. And remember, you want to get into those top 3 spots. And it's also win and you're in, as Seth mentioned earlier. So he's already secured his spot going into the Super 3. But those last 2 spots are up for grabs, Austin.
Absolutely up for grabs. And again, enjoyed the race here with the iSuperSpeedway series. We look forward to seeing them back here for the last 2 races, and then possibly again once we get the truck series over here up and running. That's going to make for another great series to run. So if you want to get involved with that, be sure to check these guys out. Check out iSuperSpeedway.com. Get involved with this group. Fantastic group to race with. And as you saw tonight, the racing is fantastic. Other events happening here on LSRTV. Be sure to check out the Pacific Majors 2.4 hours of Spa on Sunday night. I believe that race is going to be coming on live a little bit later at night. I believe we were looking at 10 p.m. Eastern, I think is the last thing I saw on that one. And then Monday night, 9:30 Eastern time. That's going to be the RSR Gary Mercer Trucking Full Throttle Cup Series. I apologize. That's going to take place at 9:30 p.m. Those guys are going to be going live from Daytona International. So be sure to tune in for that one. But on behalf of myself, Rachel Whiteford, and Jared Haggerty, also Laura Lawson down there pushing all the buttons for us, doing a fantastic job every week. My name's Austin Atkinson. We'll see you Sunday night. This is the voice of Sim Racing, LSR TV.